Grace, in the way Toni Morrison describes it, is not cheap comfort, but the hard-won possibility of self-forgiveness that appears after you've effaced the truth about yourself. It is what allows a person to live on honestly after doing something absolutely terrible, without pretending it didn't happen, and without remaining frozen in self-hatred. Grace does not erase the past. It changes your relationship to it, so that the worst thing you have done is no longer the only thing that defines you. The image of a cul-de-sac captures what happens when you refuse or are unable to forgive yourself. You loop endlessly through the same thoughts and feelings, self-criticism, regret, and rumination, without reaching any new understanding or action. You may feel as if punishing yourself is morally correct, but in practice it keeps you stuck, neither repairing the harm nor allowing yourself to grow. The tragedy of this state is that it can feel righteous while actually blocking transformation. To leave that cul-de-sac, Morrison says, you have to go through the fire and experience the full fall and the complete self-loathing. That fire is the unprotected confrontation with what you have done and what it reveals about you. It means dropping the half-truths and rationalizations and letting the reality burn away your illusions about yourself. This is not about self-torture for its own sake, but about accepting how far you have fallen from the person you hoped you were, so that any change that follows is grounded in truth rather than fantasy. In this framing, guilt can become a substitute emotion because it stays on the surface. Guilt often says, I did something bad, but it can also become a repetitive, almost performative stance. You say you feel guilty, you think about it, but nothing essential shifts inside you. You can cling to guilt as proof that you are a good person who made a mistake, using the feeling itself as evidence that you care enough, instead of letting it push you into deeper responsibility and change. Shame, humiliation, and self-loathing, what Morrison calls the real thing, go further by threatening your self-image at its core. They force you to confront the possibility that there is something in you capable of serious harm, and that recognition is humiliating. These feelings can be dangerous if they lead to total collapse or self-destruction, but in her metaphor they are also a door. By seeing yourself without defense, you create the conditions for an honest life beyond denial. Only when you have allowed yourself to feel the sting of who you have been, can you meaningfully choose who you will be next. Responsibility is the hinge between this inner fire and the possibility of grace. Skipping responsibility, minimizing, blaming circumstances, or hiding behind generic guilt means you never fully acknowledge the impact of your actions on others or on yourself. Taking responsibility, by contrast, involves naming what you did, understanding its consequences, and beginning to repair what can be repaired. It is only after this reckoning, after passing through shame and accepting the full weight of what you've done, that self-forgiveness becomes morally serious, rather than a form of self-absolution. Finally, the movement from self-loathing to self-forgiveness is a gradual bridge, not a switch. The sequence Morrison suggests is, the harm occurs. You see it clearly. You endure the searing emotions that follow. You take ownership, and where possible, make amends. And somewhere along that path, grace appears. Grace here is not you declaring yourself forgiven on a whim, but an inner shift in which you understand that you are fully responsible and yet not reducible to your worst act. It allows you to carry your past honestly, while still choosing to live in a way that reflects what you have learned.